2nd Squadron 107th Cavalry Regiment roots begin in early 1877 as the state formed the Ohio Volunteer Cavalry with troops in Cincinnati, Shelby, and the Scott Dragoons in Hillsborough. 1877 also saw a crisis sweeping the nation.
And in 1877, the crisis was the first national strike in American history, railroad strike. So in Cleveland, the powers that be felt that infantry such as the Greys would not be enough, so a cavalry troop should be founded.
The 1st City Troop was unique in the United States Cavalry, where it would only field black horses. These big, black, beautiful beasts would escort generals, foreign diplomats, and even presidents. Not only has Ohio's cavalry rode alongside historic figures, the 107th has had more than its share of notable troopers among its ranks. These esteemed cavalrymen have had many important connections, including John Phillip Sousa. Sousa held the Scouts so near to his heart that he and his band escorted the 1st Ohio Volunteer Cavalry Regiment through downtown Cleveland on their way to the Spanish-American War. The March King remained close friends with many of the 1st City Troopers throughout his life, and continued to hold Ohio's cavalry with such reverence that he later dedicated a piece in their honor known as the Black Horse Troop March. As America entered the First World War, technology and trench warfare rendered the traditional horse cavalry useless on the modern-day battlefield. Washington gave mounted units the choice of deploying as field artillery or not going at all. After pleading with the Secretary of War himself, the 107th accepted and converted to field artillery and fought with valor as seen here in World War I. Along with the Mexican border duty cactus and the Spanish-American War sword, the red stripe was added to the 107th's insignia to pay homage to their brief stint as Redlegs. Converting back to cavalry, the 107th will see action on both fronts during World War II, with their main effort acting as scouts conducting reconnaissance in the European theater. Although some traditionalists stood firm in their beliefs of equine superiority, the 107th traded in their black horses for newly mechanized cavalry equipment. The 1960s were a volatile time in America, and Ohio was no exception. Between Vietnam protests, Teamster strikes, and the Glenville and Huff riots, the 107th Cavalry was the main effort in protecting much of Ohio during civil unrest. From 1977 to 1993, the 107th Armored Cavalry Regiment, with their own horse adorning their shoulder patches, would master new technologies as they prepared for missions in the Cold War and Desert Storm.
An Armored Cavalry Regiment was a pretty neat organization. It had everything a division had, just fewer of it. Infantry, armor, aviation, sport battalion.
Today, the 2nd Squadron 107th Cavalry is headquartered in Hamilton, Ohio. Ohio's cavalry troopers have answered the call in Kosovo, Hurricane Katrina, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The 107th honors its steep traditions of its horse trooper days by wearing Stetsons, belt buckles, earning their spurs, and reciting Fiddler's Green by heart. Though the trooper uniform has changed, the standard of excellence remains the same for the talented leaders who wear the 107th Cross Sabers. The ranges, weaponry, and fire capabilities may have evolved, and new soldiers come and go, but the 107th Cavalry continues to build upon their predecessors' high standards and fundamentals of reconnaissance, utilizing 21st century technology for the modern-day battlefield. Leading the nation in readiness and preparing to fight tonight, Ohio's cavalry will soon join the 37th Infantry Brigade Combat Team and lead the way as an elite fighting force of tomorrow.
I would tell you that the regiment had a lot of wonderful people in it, great people whose shoulders we stand on today, great legacy. So a lot of wonderful Americans had gone before us.
Well, I wanna be in the cavalry if they send me off to war. Well, I want a good steed under me like my forefathers before.